she said to my friends at the table. If he were a real man, he would accept my needs. Everyone fell silent. She smiled, confident she had me on a leash. They thought I'd swallow it, that I was weak, but I had already made my choice, and it would turn her world upside down. Before we continue, hit like, subscribe, and comment below what you would do in my place. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. Now, back to the beginning. My name is Michael. Hers. Ashley. We were married for 8 years at a home in the suburbs of Atlanta. Our dog Max. Regular evenings when I came home tired but happy to see my family. That I truly believed everything was good. Maybe not a fairy tale, but stable, respectful, a partnership that I didn't yet know that my wife craved not comfort, but attention from others. Easy, free. The first real warning came when she started hanging out with friends more and more. That I used to encourage her. Go have fun. You need time for yourself. But suddenly these friends became random new people, names I'd never heard, events she described too perfectly. Like a rehearsed script. We were having dinner. Candles, chicken and creamy sauce. I tried telling her a funny story from work, but her phone buzzed again and again. She laughed at the screen, the way she hadn't laughed with me in a long time. Who's texting? I tried to keep my tone light. She scoffed, waving me off. You're getting so controlling. It's just friends. I pretended to believe her. But inside, there was this cold feeling that wouldn't leave. That a week later she wouldn't stop saying, I need space. I want to feel alive. I don't want to explain every step. I didn't recognize this woman. Ashley I married always said we. This Ashley only said I. I tried to talk. Calmly. No accusations. Ash, if something is missing, let's fix it together. She looked at me like I was a burden. Be a man and accept my needs. I need more freedom. Those words hit hard, but I stayed silent. Inside, anger, confusion, fear of losing her, but I kept my face straight. Men of my generation were raised not to show pain. That weekend we went to a friend's house, Samuel and Jenna's place. Big, loud, pool in the backyard. Everyone laughing, joking, grilling steaks. Like old times. I tried to be normal. I sat close to Ashley, put my hand on her shoulder. She subtly moved away. Then the cocktails came out, and I saw her texting under the table, smiling at her phone, biting her lip, the way she used to look at me. I leaned in, quietly. Can we talk? She made her voice loud on purpose. What's wrong with you, Michael? Another interrogation. Voices around us faded. People stared, waiting for drama. My chest tightened. I just wanted, you want control. She cut me off, staring directly at others as if seeking applause. I'm tired of living under a microscope. I need more freedom. A real man would understand that. Some laughed quietly. Not in my face, but I saw those looks. Oh boy, they've got issues. She sipped her cocktail, proud like she had won something. I stayed silent, just looked at her, calm. And for the first time, a thought appeared. She has no idea what she's asking for. Something changed in me. Not rage, not despair, cold clarity. Fighting was pointless. Someone demanding freedom isn't holding on to what they have. And if she wants freedom, I'll give it to her. But in a way she'll remember every single word she spoke today. I stood up. Everyone watched, expecting a scene, an explosion, but I simply said, You're right, Ashley. Freedom is important. Her smile twitched. She didn't expect calm, didn't expect me to stop defending our marriage. Let her celebrate her victory while she still can. I didn't slam the door that night. I didn't demand her phone, didn't cry, didn't accuse. I just went silent. And that silence scared her more than any argument could. We drove home without a word. She kept glancing at me, waiting for the explosion. But nothing came. Only calm. Cold, steady calm. When we stepped inside, she said, almost playful, You're not mad, right? I smiled just enough to confuse her. Ashley, you're free. You said it yourself. She opened her mouth to keep talking, but I headed to the guest room and locked the door. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about every year I gave her. The promotions I chased to keep us comfortable. The birthdays I planned down to the smallest detail. The times I ignored her flaws because love makes you blind. But the biggest thought was simple. I deserved better than becoming an embarrassing joke to my own wife. The next morning I woke up early and left before she could say anything. At the bank, I removed my income from our joint account. The manager looked at me with that careful professional expression, the one that says, "I've seen this before." I didn't explain. I just signed. At work, I pretended everything was normal. But inside, I was building a plan brick by brick. If she wanted independence, she would live it fully. No shared money. No shared responsibilities. No shared future. That evening, she wasn't home. A message popped up. Going out with friends, don't wait up. Friends. The same faceless friends who filled her phone with giggles and secrets. I replied, enjoy, and nothing more. Hours later, I heard her stumble through the door, laughing into her phone. He just doesn't get it, she whispered to whoever was on the line. He thinks marriage means I can't have fun. I stood in the hallway. She didn't see me. Her perfume mixed with cheap bar smoke, her lipstick smeared, hair messy in a way that wasn't from wind. Ashley, I said softly. She jumped, nearly dropping her phone. Jesus, Michael, don't sneak up on me. Her tone was defensive, hostile. I'm not sneaking. This is my house. She rolled her eyes. Listen, I'm tired. Can we not do this? I nodded again. Calm. Too calm. She didn't know that each nod was another step away from her. The next day, I sat with a lawyer. A calm, middle-aged woman named Patricia who listened without judgment. You're not ready for divorce, she said after my explanation. But you want to protect yourself. Exactly. She drafted what needed drafting. Individual finances. Separation of investments. Termination of my automatic payments for her credit card and gym. She would no longer live a luxury life funded by the man she mocked. When I brought the papers home, Ashley was sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone, legs up, glass of wine beside her. She didn't even look up. What's that? Freedom, I said, placing the documents in front of her. She finally glanced and froze. What is this supposed to mean? You asked for independence. These papers make it official. She laughed nervously. You're being dramatic. No, I replied. I'm being respectful. You said you don't want to explain anything to me. So now you don't have to. She scanned the first pages. Her eyes flickered. Fear, disbelief, insult. You're cutting me off financially? You said you don't want support. Michael, that's not what I meant. But it's what you asked for. She threw the papers aside. And what? You think this makes you a man? Punishing me. I'm not punishing. I'm agreeing. Her voice shook with frustration. You can't just pull away like this. Ashley, I'm giving you exactly what you requested. Nothing more. She stared, unable to find the next line of her script. She wanted a fight. Tears. A dramatic scene. Instead, she got calm consequences. She stomped off to the bedroom and slammed the door so hard the frame rattled. I stayed in the living room, petting Max's fur, listening to her pacing, cursing under her breath. For years, I would have chased after her, begging to understand what I did wrong. But not anymore. That night, she slept alone, and I slept like a man who finally stepped out of the fire. The following week changed everything faster than she ever expected. Credit card declined at her salon. Rent reminder arriving on her phone. Friends suddenly slower to respond. Nights out that ended earlier, colder, quieter. And still, I said nothing. I simply watched. I could see panic creeping in behind her eyes each morning. But she pretended. She had pride. Hollow pride. On Friday, she dressed up again, too much makeup, sparkly dress, and announced, I'm going out. Don't wait up. Of course, I replied. Calm. Always calm. She hesitated, waiting for resistance that never came. Fine. Whatever. And she left. That night, I didn't pace the floor wondering where she was. Instead, I opened a folder Patricia helped me prepare. And I took the next step toward letting Ashley experience the full weight of the freedom she begged for. I did not tell her. I didn't warn her. I simply acted. And I knew the moment reality hit her, she would finally understand the price of every careless word she had thrown at me. But that moment had not come yet. Not even close. It was only the beginning of her lesson. Saturday morning arrived with sunlight and silence. Ashley's side of the bed was untouched. Max sat by the door, ears perked, waiting for her footsteps. I poured myself coffee and watched the steam drift upward, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Around noon, the front door finally creaked. Ashley tiptoed in, makeup smeared, heels in her hand, trying not to make a sound. She froze when she saw me drinking coffee at the kitchen table. You're up, she muttered. It's afternoon, I replied. She glanced away. She waited for questions, accusations. There were none. I stood, rinsed my mug, and simply said, "I hope you enjoyed your night." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. That day, she hovered around me like a stranger. Sometimes she looked at me as if trying to recognize the man she used to control with a single tear. But that version of me was gone. In the evening, she received a text that made her face brighten. She grabbed her phone like a lifeline. I saw the name flash for just a second. Brandon. Not a friend. And definitely not a woman. She rushed into the bedroom to reply. I didn't follow. I didn't ask. I didn't care. Instead, I sat in the living room and reviewed more documents. Patricia wasn't just a lawyer. She was strategic. We transferred the title of the house into my name only. The mortgage had always been paid by me anyway. Insurance policies updated. Keys and access changed. Ashley still hadn't grasped what was happening. She was too immersed in the glittering fantasy she thought awaited her. On Sunday, she woke up before me, rare for her, and made breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast. She set a plate in front of me with a forced smile. I thought we could start over. Have a real talk. I ate quietly. Ashley, I finally said, I'm listening. Talk. She twisted the edge of her napkin. I might have gone too far. I just felt bored. Suffocated. Like life was slipping away and I needed something exciting. I watched her struggle to justify herself without ever saying sorry. So, she continued hopefully, maybe we could meet halfway? Halfway to what? She blinked, confused. To letting me go out sometimes. No questions. You're an adult, Ashley. You can always go out. But I want us to be okay. Define okay. Her jaw tightened. Michael, don't play games. I'm not. I pointed to the paperwork. You wanted independence. I made it real. She stared at the documents as if they were poison. I didn't ask for this. You asked for freedom. Freedom means responsibility. She pushed her chair back, angry again. Why are you acting like the victim? I didn't cheat, but she avoided my eyes when she said it. She knew I knew. That night, she didn't go anywhere. She sat on the couch, scrolling frantically, searching for attention she once had without effort. By Tuesday, the cracks grew wider. Her gym card failed. Her favorite boutique refused her new card because it had no balance. Lunch with friends ended with awkward looks when she couldn't pay her share. When she came home, she slammed her purse onto the table. Did you cut off everything? You said you didn't want to depend on me. Michael, I can't even buy groceries. You can. With your income. She glared. It's not enough. Then maybe freedom isn't as cheap as you thought. She looked at me like she was seeing a stranger. But I wasn't the stranger here, she was. Wednesday evening, I returned home to find her pacing, phone pressed to her ear. What do you mean you can't come tonight? She snapped, frustration rising. She listened, then barked. Fine. Whatever. She hung up hard, then froze when she noticed me watching. She tried to recover dignity by tossing her hair and giving a fake laugh. Brandon had to cancel. No big deal. I nodded, taking off my jacket. Plans fall apart sometimes. She folded her arms. He's just a friend. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. She sighed sharply and disappeared into the bedroom. Hours later, I heard quiet sobbing. I didn't rush to comfort her like I once would have. I turned off the light and let the house stay silent. Thursday was when the pretense finally broke. She stepped into my office at home, eyes red, voice shaky. Michael, I think I made a mistake. I looked up from my laptop. What mistake? Everything. I waited for more. She took a trembling breath. I don't want this kind of freedom. I don't want to lose us. Ashley, I said calmly, you haven't lost anything you valued. Her face crumpled for a moment before she hid it behind anger again. So what now? Are you just going to keep punishing me? Keep acting like I'm the enemy. I'm not punishing you, I replied. I simply stepped back. You pushed. She wanted to scream. Instead, she whispered, why are you being so cold? Because heat didn't work. She walked out slowly, defeated by a fight that never started. That night she stayed home again. No texts, no plans, just silence. She sat on the far end of the couch, hugging a pillow, pretending to watch TV. I could feel her glancing at me every few minutes, as if hoping I'd be the one to save her from the consequences she created. But I wasn't going to rescue her. Not anymore. I wasn't the villain in her story, and I wasn't the fool either. She wanted freedom. And the world was finally showing her what freedom really looks like when you have to face it alone. The lesson was far from over. Friday evening came like a storm she didn't see until it was already above her. I came home from work and found Ashley sitting at the kitchen table, not dressed up for a night out, not glued to her phone. Just sitting, waiting. Her eyes were swollen from crying, though she tried to hide it under makeup. "Michael," she said quietly, "we need to talk." I didn't sit. I placed my briefcase down and looked at her, giving her space to speak. She swallowed hard. "Brandon isn't. He doesn't. He just wanted to have fun. Nothing real." I nodded slightly, as if hearing a weather update. "Friends disappeared too," she added with a bitter laugh. "Guess freedom isn't much fun when it's just you and an empty phone." Still, I didn't speak. Silence pushed her to continue. "My mom asked if everything was okay. I lied. I couldn't admit I ruined my own life because I thought I was missing out on something exciting. Turns out I was the one boring and predictable, huh?" She tried to joke, but her voice cracked. I finally sat down. Not close. Across from her. "Ashley, what do you want from me?" She stared at her hands. "I want to fix us. I want my husband back. I want the man who cared. I don't want to be out there anymore. I hate it. I hate who I became." For a moment, I saw the woman I had once loved. Vulnerable, honest, scared. But the damage she caused wasn't a single crack. It was a demolition. "You didn't lose me because you went out," I said calmly. "You lost me because you destroyed the respect between us." Tears gathered in her eyes. She stood up and walked around the table, kneeling at my feet like she was trying to anchor herself to the last solid ground she had left. "I thought you'd always be there," she whispered. "No matter how I treated you. I thought you'd never stop fighting for me." I looked down at her trembling hands holding onto my knee. "That was your mistake," I said. "Believing your actions had no consequences." She rested her forehead against me, sobbing quietly. Max came over and nudged her hand, confused and concerned. She held on to him like he was the only living thing that still loved her. I waited until her breathing steadied, until she looked up with red, pleading eyes. "What do I have to do?" she asked. I stood, not harshly, just enough to make her move her hands away. "Ashley, you asked for freedom." She closed her eyes tightly, bracing for what came next. "So now you live free." She shook her head violently. "No, no, I don't want that anymore. Please, Michael." I was stupid. I was so stupid. I walked to the counter and opened a folder, the same folder that had been growing thicker with every decision she had made. As I set it on the table, she stared at it like an execution notice. "What is that?" "Reality," I said. She slowly sat back in her chair, afraid to touch the papers. Every page represented a boundary she broke, a promise she mocked, a moment when she thought I was too weak to ever walk away. "Are you leaving me?" she whispered. I met her eyes. "I already did. The night you told a room full of people that I wasn't a real man." She looked like she'd been shot. "Michael, please. I can change. I will change. Just don't give up on me." I had dreamed of hearing those words months ago, begged silently for them. But now they sounded too late, too broken. "Ashley," I said, voice steady. "You didn't want a husband. You wanted a safety net. A backup plan. A man to pay for your mistakes while you chased excitement." She covered her face with her hands, shaking. "I didn't know what I had, but you knew how to destroy it." She lowered her hands and looked at me through tears. "So that's it. After 8 years? You're just going to end it." "I tried to save us," I replied. "You tried to escape us." She stood up suddenly, grabbing at my shirt like she could hold me in place. "I need you," she cried. "I can't do this alone." I took her hands gently and moved them away. "That's what freedom is, Ashley. Doing everything alone." She stumbled back into the chair, defeated, small, terrified. The woman who once demanded the world now struggled to breathe in her own home. I picked up my keys. Max sat up, confused by the tension. Ashley looked up at me one last time, voice barely there. "Michael, please." I took a slow breath. "Take care of yourself," I said. "And remember, silence can speak louder than any scream." Then I walked out the door. I didn't slam it. I didn't look back. I let the silence finish what she had started. And that was the night Ashley learned that freedom without loyalty is just loneliness wearing a cheap disguise. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment below. Your support helps me share more powerful real-life tales.